Stampers, and welcome to the first tutorial for my March project kit featuring the Hydrangea Hill suite. And before we get started, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for buying my kit, and I'm always open to any suggestions on how to improve the kit or any of those kind of things. So always stay in touch with me and let me know how you like the kit. All right, so our first project we are going to do is the hand sanitizer box. So you're going to want to get out your project kit here, and out of your project kit you're going to want to remove your gorgeous grape ribbon, and then you should have a little packet in your project kit that includes the hand sanitizer box cut and scored, and then there should be a small little cut scallop oval there, and look on the label there, it should say hand sanitizer gift box, and that's the pouch you're going to need. All right, now I'm not going to use that pouch because I want to show you how I did my scoring and everything. You might also notice that I didn't include pieces of the designer series paper, and I really did that on purpose because I want you to have the opportunity to choose which color you'd like to use. So if you printed out the downloaded PDF that I sent you, you'll notice that at the bottom it has all the dimensions for the 5 panels that you'll need for this project. You can go ahead into your pack of the Hydrangea Hill Designer Series paper and choose which color you'd like to use for the box. So it's really up to you, and you can go ahead and cut your own pieces that way. I stuck with the colors that I used on my sample, and these are my 5 pieces of designer series paper that I will need for the box. So I'm just going to put those over here for now, and those we'll be using in a bit. All right, we're going to first start with the piece of Highland Heather cardstock. This is cut at 5 inches by 5.5. On yours, it already has the scores, but I wanted to show you how that comes together with your scoring board. Okay, I'm going to bring in my scoring board, and I'm going to first score on the short side. That is the 5-inch side. And on the 5-inch side, I'm going to score at 7/8, 3 5/8, 4.5. Okay, then I'm going to turn it this way, and on the long side, I'm going to score at 7/8, 2.5, 3 3/8, and 5. Okay, so that is all your scoring, and that's what your piece of cardstock should look like as you took it out of your packet. Okay, so what you're going to want to do now is take a bone folder and go ahead and crease all the lines on that were scored on your Highland Heather cardstock piece. Okay, the reason we like to use a bone folder is it helps to give those folds on your cardstock a nice crisp fold, and then the box will come together a lot easier that way. Okay, you will also notice here on your PDF that I have put together a little template, a picture of a template that shows you how your cardstock will look after you finish cutting it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. Okay, so you'll notice that on this side we have the very, very skinny little rectangle. Okay, so we're going to remove all but the longest section of that skinny rectangle. So we're going to cut the one off the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to turn it the other way, and we're going to cut these 2 small ones off the top. Okay, so this little piece is going to be put some adhesive on there, and that's going to tuck inside the box to hold it together. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut along the bottom, up the vertical score lines to the first horizontal score line. And this is going to be the bottom of your box. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those. and those. All right, so this is the bottom of the box. We take a little bit off these pieces to make them the little flaps that go inside, and then these are the panels that are going to glue together. All right, now this is going to be the top part of our box. Okay, now, so what we're going to need to do here is the same thing that we did below, but this time we have to go through one horizontal score line to a second one. Okay, because we're going to be creating flaps and on the top as well. All right, so on this first flap, this is going to be your lid to your box. So the only thing we're going to do to that is we're going to take a little tiny bit off the corner so those tuck in a little better. Now these two squares are going to be the flaps that fold in. So we're going to cut those shorter. We're not going to cut them off. We're just going to cut them shorter by cutting off the outside little rectangle. Okay, and then we're going to give them a little bit of a haircut along the edge, just so when they fold into the box that they won't make it difficult to put the lid down. Last thing we're going to do is on this flap here, we're going to totally remove that. So we're going to fold down these two here, and then I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to cut that one all the way off. Okay, so that is the way that the template should look. Okay, so now it's going to go together like this. These are going to go in, and then that's going to come down. But before we do that, I like to place my pieces of designer series paper on the box first before we put it together, because you have a little more time to move it around with the glue, and you can really get a great everything adhered very well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, get my Tombow out, and put all my panels on. Okay, so we have two of the larger panels that are going to be the front and the back of the box. There's one. And this is two. Remember, you didn't have to pick the designer series paper I did, so I want you to kind of use your own creativity. Maybe you already have an idea of who might be getting this little box, and you might have chosen a different. There's certainly many, many beautiful choices in that designer series paper pack. All right, and these are the sides. The long, thin ones are our side panels. So I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow on that. If you don't like to use liquid glue, you can certainly use the Seal Plus, if that's something that you would prefer. All right, last one. This piece is going to go on the lid, top of the lid. Okay, so I'm going to turn that over. And that goes right here on the lid. Okay, so now I have all my designer series paper pieces stuck, and I can give them a nice firm. There, now we know we are ready to roll. All right, now we're ready to put the box together. Now we're going to go ahead and put our adhesive along this line here. Now you can use different types. You can use your Seal Plus, you can use your tear and tape, you can use Tombow. I'm going to use Tombow, and I'm just going to put a little line along, a little line along that rectangle. Then I'm going to turn it over and fold it like that, and then fold that side over. So we'll know exactly that it's going to be a perfect size, and we can really, really rub on that and push it down to make sure it stays together. And we know Tombow will do a great job. All right, so there's our box. Now I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to fold in the two side tabs, and then I'm going to look at my box, and I'm going to notice that this is the front tab of the bottom. So I want to make sure that one goes down last. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow on each of these small tabs here. Just a bit. Going to fold down the back one first. put some more Tombow on there and close down the front one. Then I'm going to stand it up, and I'm going to grab my bone folder again. Make sure that's nice and well adhered, and then I can close up my box in the front. So there you have your box. So easy. Okay, now let's talk about our embellishments on the front. Now, if you only got option 1, you will have a blank scallop oval in your pouch. And that you can go ahead and put whatever sentiments you want on there. If you had option 2, now would be the time that you would want to do some stamping. Okay, and I'll show you what that would look like. You would be using the Oval Occasions stamp set, and we're going to use the So Lucky to Know You. And I'm going to use my Memento ink. I'm going to stamp that on a piece of scrap paper. This is such a cute little sentiment. Love the font of that and the cute little flowers. They match so perfectly with this paper. All right, then I'm going to grab my blends. Okay, if you put option 3 or have your own blends, this is your chance to go ahead and do some coloring. I took my light Highland Heather first and went over the flowers, top and bottom. Just very quickly, nothing too fancy. And then I took the darker one and went at the bottom, adding a little bit more color. Then I took my light again and kind of started in the dark spot and blended upward. All right, so there is that. And then I took my dark Old Olive and I filled in these cute little leaves. Such a tiny space, I really didn't do any shading there. All right, so there is my embellishment. I'm going to bring in my double oval punch, and we're going to use the scalloped one, which is on the outside of the punch. Excuse me. And I'm going to put in my piece of basic white, and I'm going to stamp, try and center it the best I can, and then punch it out. And there is our little embellishment for the front of our box. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some dimensionals, and I'm going to put that on the front of the box. Last thing we're going to need to do is put on some of that beautiful, gorgeous grape ribbon. Okay, so I'm going to cut myself a nice slice. And now I chose to wrap it around the top, but you can certainly go around the middle if you like and have your oval kind of straddle the ribbon. It's really up to you. It's your box. I'm just kind of giving you some ideas, but you can always use your own. Okay, I have the ribbon here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and tie a bow. If I can, there we go. Then I'm going to fluff it around a little bit. There we are. And I think I'm going to keep mine at the top. So I'm going to slide it so it is completely above our oval. So I'm going to slide it up a bit. There we go. And I'm going to cut this off here so we have equal sides. So there we go. So there is your box. Okay. Now for my box, I made it the size to hold one of these little hand sanitizers, but of course you could put a little bit of Easter candy or anything in there. It's a great box to use for lots of different things. All right, so that is a tutorial for our first project. Thanks again, and you can now move on to the second.